Most gardeners believe that vegetables demand endless hours of direct sunshine, but here's a secret worth knowing. Shade is not the enemy of productivity. In fact, there are plenty of crops that actually perform better with fewer hours of sunlight. If your garden is tucked between tall buildings, sits under a canopy of trees, or simply doesn't get more than 4 to 5 hours of daily light, you can still grow a harvest that surprises you. Shade gardens are not only possible, they can be highly rewarding, if you choose the right vegetables. Let's dig into the top performers that thrive in partial shade, why they succeed where others fail, and how you can grow them with confidence in low-light spaces. When it comes to vegetables that don't need much light, leafy greens are at the top of the list. Spinach, lettuce, and Swiss chard all grow faster and more tender in partial shade than under blazing sun. In fact, too much heat can cause them to bolt prematurely, turning bitter. With just 3 to 4 hours of filtered light, these greens will reward you with lush harvests. To keep them growing strong, water regularly and feed with a balanced liquid fertilizer. Dilute 1 tablespoon of all-purpose fertilizer in 1 gallon of water and apply weekly. This gentle feeding schedule helps them stay productive even when light is limited. Carrots, beets, and radishes may not seem like obvious candidates for shade, but they thrive with about 4 to 5 hours of sunlight. The key is to remember that while the leafy tops need light, the edible roots develop underground and are protected from the harsher elements. Radishes in particular love cooler, low-light conditions and will mature quickly. Carrots and beets may take a bit longer, but, the shade helps prevent them from becoming woody. Keep the soil consistently moist, especially for carrots, as uneven watering can cause them to crack. If there were a trophy for resilience in shady gardens, kale would take it home. This hardy crop doesn't just tolerate partial shade, it often grows sweeter in it. Kale produces well with as little as 3 hours of direct light per day, making it perfect for tucked-away corners of the garden. What makes kale special is its ability to continue producing for months. So, here's the thing. If you harvest the outer leaves regularly, the plant will just keep sending up new ones. And by the way, adding compost tea every couple of weeks, made by steeping 1 cup of compost in a gallon of water overnight, will provide the nutrients it needs, especially in those low-light conditions. Unlike sun-loving peppers or tomatoes, broccoli actually enjoys cooler, dimmer conditions. Shaded gardens help keep broccoli heads from maturing too quickly, which lets them develop fully without becoming bitter. Aim for about 4 to 5 hours of indirect sunlight, and make sure to provide consistent moisture. Mulching around the base with straw or shredded leaves, well, that helps retain water and keeps roots cool. And here's a tip. Once you harvest the main head, don't pull the plant. Side shoots will continue to produce smaller florets for weeks. Peas are another crop that doesn't demand endless sun. Whether you choose snap peas or shelling peas, they do well with just 4 hours of light daily. In fact, too much heat from full sun often shortens their productive season. By growing them in shade, you extend the harvest window. Support them with a trellis to encourage upward growth, which also allows more light to reach the lower leaves. Water peas deeply once a week, about 1 inch of water, to keep the soil evenly moist and the pods plump. Cabbage might look like a sun-hungry crop, but it actually thrives in cooler, low-light conditions. The dense leaves form beautifully with just a few hours of daily sunlight. In shaded gardens, cabbage is less likely to suffer from sun-scald or premature splitting. To grow cabbage successfully, you'll want to start with young transplants for the best results. It's important to feed them with a nitrogen-rich liquid fertilizer every 2 weeks. For instance, you can mix 2 teaspoons of fish emulsion into 1 gallon of water. This will really help your cabbages thrive. Arugula is one of those fast-growing greens that practically begs for a shady spot. In full sun it tends to bolt quickly, but if you can provide it with some filtered light, it stays tender and flavorful for a longer period. You can direct sow seeds and begin harvesting young leaves in as little as 3 weeks. It's quite rewarding, really. Arugula does enjoy consistent watering, about 1 inch per week to be precise, and it benefits from light feedings of compost tea. For continuous harvests, try sowing new seeds every 2 weeks. This ensures you always have fresh leaves ready for your salads or sandwiches. It's a great way to keep your meals fresh and vibrant. You know, celery has a bit of a reputation for being tricky to grow, but here's the thing, partial shade actually gives it an advantage. When there's too much heat and sun, celery tends to dry out and turn stringy. But in low-light gardens, it finds the cooler, moist environment it truly craves. Mustard greens, on the other hand, are these quick-growing crops that just love the cooler conditions shade provides. With just 3 to 4 hours of light, they produce these tender, flavorful leaves, and they're actually less prone to bitterness than those grown in full sun. If you harvest the outer leaves regularly, the plant will keep on producing new growth. To give mustard greens a boost, side dress with compost halfway through the season, ensuring a steady supply of nutrients. Turnips are one of the most underrated shade-tolerant crops. With only 4 hours of light per day, they develop crisp, sweet roots underground while producing nutritious greens above. That's a double harvest from a single plant. Shady gardens may seem like a limitation, but as you can see, they can actually become a strength. The vegetables that thrive in lower light are often the ones that taste better, stay tender longer, and keep producing when sun-drenched crops struggle. From leafy greens and hardy roots to peas and cabbage, you can cultivate a thriving garden even if sunlight is scarce. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Crop Corner for more gardening tips that make your growing journey easier and more rewarding. Share this video with fellow gardeners who think shade is a barrier. They'll be surprised at just how much abundance can grow in the shadows.